Have you ever thought about having a forever island, or do you currently have one or are interested in the concept of it? Well, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about it. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. You might know that I recently started a brand new island and I edited the re-rolling, let's call it experience, into a video that I will link in the description box below for you in case you want to catch up on it. And that island is called Calathea, and I like to refer to it as my forever island. So basically, my first island back in 2020 when this game came out started with this intention in mind, and I wanted to have this one island and pretty much keep it for the foreseeable future, or kind of like forever, I guess. However, at some point it all kind of shifted to having more aesthetic and very themed islands that once I was done and every tile was decorated and the DA was uploaded, I just completely deleted those islands and started a brand new island. After finishing my most recent island, Meliora, which I think a lot of you know, which is my color coordinated fairy meadow, this entire concept felt a bit pressuring to me lately and I was craving a little bit of a change. And so I made the decision to start this new island with the actual intention of keeping that one, even if I were to upload a DA or like quote unquote complete it at some point. So let me explain the entire concept behind it. So I kind of put together my version or my concept of this with the idea of content creation in mind. What that means is basically, very roughly, is that I want to have different aesthetics that will make it very easy for me to show off different decorations or codes, and also, I guess, somewhat easily change certain parts. One part of the island is supposed to be more like a town or a city where villagers live that have like front yards. There will be maybe like a shopping district, like very typical things for a lot of like townish or city-ish islands. And the other part of the island will be much more natural, kind of like a forest core or like a meadow core. So there will be like winding roads and rivers and lots of trees and flowers. And that way I can just combine those two aesthetics. And then these will all kind of be decorated with different seasons or even different aesthetics in mind. And what I mean by that is basically that I might put up some seasonal builds. Let's say there will be like a pumpkin patch for fall, or there will be just like a flower and butterfly meadow for spring or something like that. And also I will use versatile codes that basically exist in a bunch of different variations, such as the 9-tail pathing or different fabric codes, planks, fillers, and so on and so forth, because that'll make it very easy for me to change out those codes and therefore adapt colors and completely change the vibe of an area. And then the most important aspect is that one area, in my case that will be the entrance, will be an ever-changing inspo area. Basically, this will be a part of the island where I can just try out different builds or even themes. Sometimes I might have an idea for a theme, but I don't really have enough ideas for it to be an entire island filled with it, you know? And so this will be the perfect opportunity for me to test out different themes, to just maybe do like a build and get something out of my system and then take some pictures of it. And if I ever actually decide to, you know, maybe start an island with that specific theme that I tested out, I can just reuse those build ideas and it'll make this forever island a very interesting and not at all boring concept. If you're interested in how this project will turn out for me, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates on this island. There might actually be one next week, or of course other fun projects as well. All right, now that we've talked about the basic concept and like my motivation behind it, let's dive into some pros and cons so that you might figure out if this is something for you as well. Let's start with the negatives. Obviously, if you are looking to have a forever island, that means that you will be stuck with the name and layout that you choose. If you start specifically for this forever island purpose, obviously you can choose something that will hopefully fit for you. If you don't restart, however, the current versions might just not feel perfect for you, especially if you started with the intention of a themed island, so this might be something you want to keep in mind. I will say it can be quite nice to finish an island and therefore just kind of finish an entire project. Usually when my islands get to the point that they're almost done, you know, being someone who basically subscribes to the no tile left behind concept, my islands can get quite laggy in the end. So being able to kind of upload that DA, have that project save forever, and then just kind of delete it and move on can be really nice. Equally nice is a fresh start. You know, just restarting your Animal Crossing island can give such a rush of motivation to just have that starter map and experience all the achievements at the start, you know, to catch a sea bass for the first time. It's definitely not to be underestimated. So if you have one Switch and you are thinking about Forever Island, you might not be able to restart for a while, and that might kind of get boring or annoying to you depending on the type of player and person that you are. So I already kind of mentioned DAs. Let's dive into that for a second. So a DA, a dream address, is basically a snapshot of your island at a specific point in time that you decided to upload it that other players can visit if they have Nintendo Online. It can be really, really nice because you get to experience an island that isn't your own and you get to actually walk around there in a dream. Now, every island has its own DA. So if you have just one island and you continuously update your DA, it basically overwrites the same code. However, if you, for example, finish an island, upload the DA, and then go ahead and completely delete that island and start a fresh one, the fresh one will have a new DA, meaning your old DA of your finished island will always stay intact. This is absolutely incredible because you get to just visit your old islands and just look at what you've created in the past. And now let's get to the negative point of this, because obviously if you have a Forever Island, you might want to actually update your DA every once in a while, meaning you might overwrite a previous version of your island that had a specific build that the new version doesn't really have. I hope this point was not too confusing, but basically just keep in mind that a Forever Island means there will be an in-progress DA, and some of the builds that you do might just not stay there forever. This one obviously depends on your version of your Forever Island, but for me, I've definitely thought about keeping most of the island in more neutral colors so that switching out some different details and codes might make a more monumental impact on the entire vibe. That might feel a little bit restricting, which you definitely don't want on your Forever Island, but it also can be very easily fixed. This next point I'm pretty sure we've all been at, because let's be honest, catching sea bass number 700 is just plain annoying, and constantly finding DIYs that you already know is really no thrilling gameplay experience. And with a Forever Island, at some point, those achievements will be done. You will probably have caught all fish, all bugs, all sea creatures. You will have a lot of the Nook Mile achievements. You will have most of the DIYs learned, and even most of the items found. And so the gameplay mechanics of this game, unlocking new things, that can truthfully get a little bit dull. So depending on the type of player that you are, this might be a massive con in your books. All right, enough about the negative things though. Let's now talk about the pros of a Forever Island and pick up right where you left off. Because having an island where you have everything unlocked can also be incredibly much fun. Just think about your item catalog in every single category, your DIYs, having everything paid off, very easy access to bells and Nook Miles. This can make designing in the long run a lot easier just because you have access to most of the things that you actually need, which can be really awesome. As I mentioned when I talked about my own motivation for starting this island, it can feel really pressuring to have to finish an entire island with a very specific theme in mind. Sometimes there's just not enough ideas for the entire island and you basically just wanted this specific vibe, or you had maybe an idea for like 3 separate areas, and then you just kind of have to force yourself to play, and you have to force yourself to finish decorating something specific. And basically while playing, your focus will just be on finishing that island instead of playing in the moment, which can just absolutely suck the joy out of playing Animal Crossing. This definitely happened to me, and so this island is a good opportunity for me to go back to my roots and really just focus maybe on specific area builds, you know, just kind of do and build what I'm feeling in the moment. If you set it up in a similar way to me and you have an area on your island that's basically ever changing, that can just be incredible. Just being able to try out something as soon as you want, basically having this area dedicated for it, and just being able to either try different builds or a theme right off the bat can be so much fun. Especially if, you know, you keep like a few open tiles for codes and you can really dive in there. This can just make decorating a really fun process. This next one is actually kind of in comparison to like a no terraforming island. I made a video about that a while ago, and a lot of people commented that they're really sad because they would have to actually restart to get their like starter map back. And with this one, with a forever island, there's absolutely no restart needed. You could just literally start today, restructure your current island, or just, you know, adapt certain parts of it. You could just have this one area that's ever changing, that's different to your current theme. Whenever there's something that gets in your brain, you just need to decorate, you just need to try out, you can go ahead and do it, and you can start right now. Having looked at some of the pros and cons, I now have just around 3 tips or things that you should maybe pay attention to if you also want to start your own forever island. So if you decide to start fresh, meaning you start a brand new island, I would definitely recommend to try and choose a map that'll work long term. Especially if you've worked on an island before, you will probably know which types of things you would like to have on an island, which things you can work with well, or which ones you don't like. And I'm especially talking about aspects of an island map that can't be changed later on, such as the river mouths or the location of resident services in comparison to the airport, the peninsula, the dock, and the secret beach. Something that will be a bit of a challenge for me personally is that you might have to be a little bit more open to change stuff. So usually when an area is done on one of my own islands, I kind of just don't touch it anymore. Like, I just let it exist until the island is complete at some point, and I basically never go back to change stuff. And the same kind of goes for villagers. Once I have invited someone that I like and that fits the entire vibe and aesthetic, I just kind of keep them, even if someone else out there might have been even better for this island. So this will be something that I will challenge myself to do in the future, and if there's something I want to change, and if I see something I don't like, I will have to take it down, and I will have to go ahead and change it. And this next one I also briefly mentioned before, which is that you have to focus more on finishing a specific area instead of finishing an island. For me, very quickly after restarting and after coming up with like a specific theme and maybe putting together the codes and starting the entrance, my main focus is to have a finished island, which is definitely not a healthy approach to play this game. So something I've thought about is that maybe every time I finish a specific area, I update the DA for it. And that way I will still have that somewhat of a success feeling, I guess, in comparison to having to continuously push until the entire island is done. By the way, there is actually already a DA for Calathea up. It's pretty much the starter map at the minute, just with a bit of my own interior done, but I will put the DA on the screen if you do end up visiting. And if you watch this video at a later point, who knows, maybe there will be some stuff on there. Do you maybe have some more aspects that you want to add to this list? Maybe some further pros and cons, or just ideas to make this a fun project? Let us know in the comments below, please. Also make sure that you check out this video in which I talk about a bit of island planning after 3 stars, and then I hope you have an awesome time until I see you in my next video. Bye everyone!